Hello and welcome to this tutorial. Today I would like to show you how I set up a live performance in Ableton session view and then recorded it into the arrangement. It's not a tutorial on how the track was programmed, but how it's mixed live on the push controller. So let's jump into Ableton and see how I did it. So the first thing I want to talk about are clips. But what are clips and how do you trigger them to play? This will be explained as if you're new to Ableton. So find the icon on your desktop, open Ableton, and the session view will open. You will see these rectangle buttons and these are called clips. This is where your MIDI and audio information will be stored. To enter MIDI information, you'll need to drag an instrument anywhere from here in the browser to the bottom here. Simply double click the clip and the piano roll will appear, where you can enter the MIDI information. To exit this mode, simply press the Shift and Tab key, or press here like this. Next, audio clips. You can drag a piece of audio into an audio clip from your desktop or from the browser here. I'll show you how to set up a customized folder in the browser later on in this tutorial, but first I will show you how to drag in some audio. Simply go to the browser and click Samples. Find one you like, drag it onto the audio clip. Also, a quick tip, if you want to audition the sample first, then click the little headphone icon here and you'll hear it. You can create a MIDI or audio channel by right clicking here and choosing which one you need. Take note the shortcuts appear here next to options. It would be a good start to write down these or memorise them. Next up, automation inside a clip. Automation inside a clip is found by first double clicking into a clip and then pressing this button here, which is the Show Hide Envelopes box. Notice when you hover over anything in Ableton, it tells you what it is with this handy description. Under Envelopes here you will see Mixer, and this will show whatever sends have been created on the mixer, which I will cover more later. And if you change this to Clip, you will have access to the clip's volume. This will change depending on what instrument you are using. If I choose delay here and then use these automation bars, then the delay will be automated. Next, let's take a look what the freeze and flatten function does in Ableton. The freeze and flatten function will enable you to bounce your MIDI to audio. This is useful when you've got lots of MIDI channels and your CPU's running at full capacity. This eases your CPU and makes it run just that little bit smoother. You can achieve this by right clicking on a MIDI channel and pressing freeze, then right click it again to flatten. If you flatten the clip, then that instrument will disappear and you'll only have the audio version now. Bear in mind, if you want to keep the MIDI, then just freeze it and unfreeze it to make alterations. Next up, removing the stop button. If you notice, when you right click onto a clip, you will see this option for removing the stop button. This is really useful when you're changing scenes and you want something else to keep playing. Automatically when changing scenes, the clips on the previous scenes will all stop, so this stops this from happening. So now we've had a look at what clips are, let's take a look at scenes. Now if you program your clips horizontally, these are called scenes. The numbers at the end here, going down vertically on the master, are where you can trigger the full scene to play. So if you press play button, all the clips along this horizontal line will play at once. You can rename by clicking here and changing the name. How to use scenes with a push 2 controller. On the push 2 down the right hand side of the controller has 8 scene grid buttons. If you press any of them while your track is playing, the scene will change. I've detailed this on my blog with illustrations and the link can be found in the comments. Folder tracks. I will now explain folder tracks, which are created when you group multiple different channels together. You can also add audio effects to these bus channels and process them all together. To achieve this, just click on the first track you want to group, press shift, and then on the last track of the group. This should highlight them all. Now press Ctrl and G, which will group them all together. Right click here and rename to drums, for example. Next, let's look at how you'd bring another production into this session by using the browser down the left hand side. If you don't already see where you've stored all your Ableton files in the browser, then you can add it by pressing the Add Folder button here. When you've located the folder to be added, then press the Select folder, which will add it to your browser. This next tip is really useful if you wish to import another track. For instance, if you want to mix a track on your push-to controller, or bring in saved audio or MIDI effects that you have saved from a previous session, you can simply press the Ableton folder button that you just added. Search for the track you wish to import, uncheck the drop-down menu, and drag the ALS file to where it says Drop Files and Devices here. You should now see the track alongside your newly created folder track. Repeat the process of creating a folder and grouping the files together if they're not already. But take note, if you have used the arrangement view to create the track you're importing, then you can drop it onto the arrangement and then drag each part into a new session clips. So now you know how to import a track ready to mix together on your push-to controller. But what about if you want to add effects and use the encoders on the push-to to control how you use them? Here's how to do it. Repeat the grouping process and group all the folders into one folder. You could rename it effects or anything you like. In the Max for Live folder, Max Audio Effect, locate Map 8 and drag it onto the effects folder. Map 8 is a utility macro device and is really useful for 8 knob controllers. First thing you should do is click on the device and click Ctrl G to group it. This will create macro knobs that can be mapped to the push-to encoders. Next you should press Map, locate the parameter you wish to control, for instance the frequency knob on the auto filter. Click on it and then go back to the effects folder and you will see that it is highlighted, and also the round knob to the left is also connected. Then you should right click on the round knob and press Map to Macro 1. You can repeat this another 7 times with any parameters that you wish to control. Good practice now would be to rename each macro so you can easily see it on the push-to. Now you can control all 8 of these parameters from your push encoders located at the top of the screen if the effects folder is selected. If you press a clip on the push trigger pads instead of a scene, then you will have to select the effects folder to view them again. I hope you found this tutorial useful for your own performance, and if you did, please like, subscribe and share with your friends, and I'll provide more tips, tricks and tutorials in the future just like this. I have also put a link for you to download this tutorial as a PDF on my blog.